Hi, everybody. My name is Medha Devare. I'm a Senior Research Fellow at the International Food Policy Research Institute, and I lead a module of CGIAR's Big Data platform. Cheryl Porter, who's my co-presenter, is at the University of Florida, and she's in the Agricultural and Biological Engineering department. And we're going to be talking about enabling digital transformation of agriculture by overcoming the agricultural Tower of Babel. So I wanted to start by providing this sort of framing for what we're talking about. This is a future farm. This is probably not that far into the future for certainly for the US, and it's already in place in many developing countries as well. There are many digitized pieces that are involved in farming, no matter where you are. And all of those are essentially driven by data. What we want to be able to enable is to find data, to interpret the data, to aggregate data easily, and then, of course, to visualize and analyze the data to enable some of this more digitized farming. To that end, CGIAR has developed the Guardian data ecosystem, at the heart of which is the data discovery portal that I'm showing you here. And that data is available for wider data discovery and use by a wide range of stakeholders, as you can see up there. And part of the data ecosystem includes tools to both collect data that's standards compliant and also workflows to be able to make historical data more standards compliant through the use, the easy use, I should say, of standard metadata and semantic standards like ontologies, for instance. And then once you have all of that, it makes it much easier to aggregate the data and to analyze the data, plunk it into models, and to visualize the data, of course. So in the next few slides, I'll show you a little bit more. I'll dive into some of these pieces as we go along. I mentioned Guardian. This is the homepage of the data portal, and I've included a URL there that you can look at. You can see that we have a large number of publications and data sets. There's a number of different stakeholders, not just CGIAR, as data sources. USAID, the World Bank, the Indian Open Data Portal, as well are stakeholders in this, as well as some others data sources. There's a link to a data management toolkit that I'm pointing to there. I encourage you to go look at Guardian, do some searches by typing in keywords like this, but also look at the data management toolkit. You can use any of these tools, and a lot of them are actually also open source. I'm coming here now to the so what of this. This is what I'm presenting you here is a case study done by a few researchers that includes, where they were trying to look at or answer the question of where fertilizer use might be profitable in sub-Saharan Africa. And for this, they went to Guardian. They found fertilizer response data from 760 locations, some 230 data sets, I believe, and they were able to develop, to use that data, develop a machine learning model, plunk it into a crop model as well, QEFTs, and then using that, compute the profitability of fertilizer use and map it. So here you have sort of that whole cycle of what I was talking about. The question is, was that data interoperable? And the answer is no, largely it was not. So they were able to find it, they were able to access it, they were able to reuse it, but with some pain because they had to do quite a bit to make it interoperable. So the question is, how do we make data more interoperable, agricultural data? How do we enable the interpretation, aggregation, et cetera? And of course, I think you know about metadata standards, and the key is to use the metadata standards, not to develop your own bespoke metadata standard, or in quote standard, and then use one of the many community data standards, including ontologies and controlled vocabularies. There's a number of them that I've outlined there. I won't go through all of them, but I will dive into a couple. And so here's a slide on the CASA standards, which consists of three primary buckets, if you will: the experiments with descriptions, weather data, and soil profile data. These have been developed out of 30 odd years of experience, and they're quite complete in terms of specifying environment, like soil conditions, for instance, and management options, including crops, rotations, and many others. As you can see, there's a number of different variables there. The agronomy ontology is similar. The heart of it is the agricultural experiment plot and the experiment itself, and it includes here I'm just showing you one part of it, which is the agronomic fertilization process, and I'm taking that, teasing apart all the different components and the hierarchies, or how it's linked to a lot of different other processes, many of which are coming from other ontologies. So the point here is that we are conforming to the oboe foundry principles. There's a little oboe foundry symbol at the bottom there, in that we are bringing terms from where they exist and not trying to develop yet another silo, because an ontology can be a silo in itself if it replicates terms that are in other ontologies. The question here is, can I generate interoperable agronomic data at collection stage? And the answer is yes. We've developed AgroFIMS, the Agronomy Field Information Management System, that generates standardized field books to collect agronomic data that's born fair, and does so by using, leveraging some of those ontologies that I showed you a couple of slides earlier, including the agronomy ontology, and offering a number of different digital data collection options, KD Smart, ODK, the Open Data Kit, or the Fieldbook mobile apps. Those are the most commonly used apps. And then there's a number of other value adds that we're showing here along the continuum of what AgroFIMS offers. The key here is that to allow people to use this to leverage AgroFIMS and to generate data that's born fair without researchers necessarily knowing what ontologies are. It may not be their business to know what an ontology is, and we don't expect them to. I've included a link there for you to try AgroFIMS yourself, and let us know what if you have any feedback. I have the next couple of slides that sort of show you what AgroFIMS looks like. This is the first screen that shows you sort of the generation of the metadata, the experiment details that allow you to generate the metadata, conforming with the Dublin Core metadata schema. And when you dive deeper down and you look at the design, you're trying to set up your trial, you choose a statistical design that is also coming from an ontology. So all of these pick lists are part of an ontology. When you finally generate your field book, you can then look at the field book, and it consists of a number of different tabs across the bottom. I'm showing you what the metadata tab looks like that I started out with, but there's also a number of other tabs: crop measurements, crop management parameters, weather and soil parameters. And here, this is the trait list that shows you all of the measurements that you're making, along with the trait validation ranges, to try and force you into some sort of data quality control as you generate the data, as you collect the data. The question is, okay, so that's for data that's being collected. What about historical data? How do I make data interoperable after collection? And the answer to this is a tool that the University of Florida has developed called VMapper that allows you to map your raw data variables to the ICASA standard that I showed you a little bit of earlier. And this is also very easy to use. It's part of the data sharing workflow of the Agricultural Research Data Network that University of Florida is helping to build, a key piece of which is the VMapper tool that I just showed you, that feeds into a couple of translators that allow you to leverage the models that are part of the AgMIP ecosystem of models. And then there's the ontology mapping to CGIAR ontologies. That's also part of this data sharing workflow. This very complicated diagram here, I just want to show you the fact that there's the VMapper tool, which is part of this. We're collaborating strongly with the University of Florida in using tools that are already developed, so that's part of it. And then the ICASA to ontology and ontology to ICASA translators that allow you to both leverage a semantically enriched data pool, as well as the crop modeling tools that I mentioned earlier. And the outcome, of course, is the fair data that we're all striving for through this verification workflow, and ultimately a semantically enriched data pool. So that's what we're all striving for in breaking down this Babel tower, getting to data that we can all operate over easily, that's interoperable, and we're building that through this collaboration with Cheryl and her team. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. Thank you very much for listening. You can write to us. I've included the emails there, since I certainly won't be able to be at this meeting, unfortunately. But do write to us and let us know what you think. Thank you.